The ultimate deception of catfishing isn't the fake photo, it's the emotional investment. The fake identity the criminal creates often feels more understanding, more aligned with your desires, and honestly, more real than any actual relationship. This isn't just about a lie, it's about a meticulously constructed emotional trap. And that's what we're going to do here today. We are going to deconstruct this entire system. We'll break down the playbook they use, the psychology they exploit, and most importantly, the clear, actionable steps you can take to build a firewall against this kind of theft. To understand how to stop this system, we first have to understand why it's so incredibly effective. So let's start with the core paradox here. This whole scam works not because it's a good lie, but because it's a perfect fantasy. See, the criminal isn't just pretending to be someone else. They are literally reverse engineering your ideal partner. They listen to your hopes, your vulnerabilities, what makes you feel lonely, and then they build a persona designed from the ground up to be the perfect solution to all of it. It's a flawless, aspirational identity that, conveniently, has none of the messy, inconvenient parts of a real human being. And that perfection, that's their most powerful weapon.
All right, Section 1, the vulnerability engine. And we're calling it an engine for a reason. This isn't just a few isolated incidents we're talking about. This is an industrial scale system that preys on one of the most fundamental human needs we all have, the need for connection. It's a machine that has been designed and refined to turn our desire for companionship into a massive, profitable criminal enterprise. Getting caught in this isn't about bad luck. It's about a global industry that has weaponized loneliness.
And just to get a sense of the scale, look at this number. Over $1 billion. According to the FBI and the FTC, romance scams, which are all built on this catfishing foundation, consistently cause the highest financial losses of any consumer fraud out there. $1 billion. And you know what? That's just what gets reported. The actual number is probably much, much higher, because so many victims are too ashamed or embarrassed to ever come forward. This isn't a quick credit card scam. It's a long con, a slow burn, designed for maximum emotional and financial damage over weeks, months, or even years.
So, this is the crucial thing to understand. Victims don't just stumble into these situations by chance. No, they are pulled into a deliberate, repeatable system. It's a calculated process. It has predictable steps, it has psychological triggers, and it has a very clear financial goal at the end. The moment you start seeing it as a system instead of just a random crime is the moment you can start building a real defense against it.
So where does this system operate? Well, the hunting grounds are the very platforms we use to connect every single day. Dating apps, of course, but also social media, online gaming platforms, even quiet little forums for hobbies like gardening or classic cars. Criminals exploit the anonymity that these places offer. They're not just swiping right, they're scanning profiles for keywords, words like widowed, divorced, or lonely. They can deploy dozens of these fake identities at once, casting this huge net, just searching for anyone who shows signs of vulnerability, because that's exactly what this system is engineered to exploit. Okay, Section 2, Anatomy of the Attack. Now that we get the scale of the problem, let's look at how the attack actually plays out. We're about to do a forensic breakdown of the criminal's playbook, and trust me, this isn't random. It's a script that they follow with methodical precision. By deconstructing their process step by step, we can see exactly how the manipulation gets built, and more importantly, we can pinpoint the exact moments where you can intervene and shut the whole thing down. So, here it is, the entire system on one slide. It starts with creating a fake identity and targeting a victim. Then, phase 2, and this is the most critical one, establishing an intense emotional bond. Once that bond is locked in, the scammer moves to isolate you from your friends and family. And only then, only after that psychological trap is fully set, do they make the financial pivot. Let's break each of these down. Step 2, the emotional hook, is really the engine of the whole scam. This is the crucial moment. It happens fast. You see these rapid, intense declarations of love, constant, overwhelming communication, texts, emails, calls. The scammer mirrors all your interests, they validate all your feelings, and they create this incredibly powerful sense of being seen and completely understood. This intense grooming creates something called reciprocity pressure. You feel so cared for that you develop this overwhelming sense of obligation to them. You feel like you owe them your loyalty and your trust.
And that leads directly to step 3, isolation. This right here, this is the psychological choke point of the entire operation. As soon as that intense bond is formed, the scammer insists on moving the conversation off the public platform, away from the dating app, off of social media, to a private channel like WhatsApp. And then they enforce that isolation. They have a constant stream of elaborate excuses for why they can't meet in person, or, and this is the big one, why they can't do a video call. I'm on a top-secret military mission. I'm on an oil rig with bad reception. Oh, my camera's broken. This locks you into a closed information loop, where the scammer is your only source of truth.
And here's where the manipulation flips. Step 4, the financial pivot. After weeks or maybe months of this intense emotional grooming and isolation, the scammer suddenly manufactures a crisis, a medical emergency, a problem with customs fees, a business deal that went wrong. But look at how it's framed. It's never just a simple request for money. It is presented as an external threat to your perfect relationship. It's a test of your love and loyalty. Sending money is framed as this heroic act to save your future together. And just like that, the victim is transformed from a target into a willing partner, desperate to protect their emotional investment. Okay, Section 3, the psychological trap. So we've seen how the attack works. We've gone through the playbook. But the bigger question is, why does it work so well? I mean, why do smart, rational people who would never fall for a simple email scam, get pulled into this? It has nothing to do with intelligence. It's because the system is designed to bypass our rational minds and exploit some really powerful and predictable cognitive biases that are just hardwired into all of us.
The main reason it works is something called parasocial bonding. It sounds complicated, but it's basically an intense, one-sided emotional connection that the victim forms with this fake person. Remember that emotional hook phase? Because the scammer is always available, always understanding, always saying the right thing, they create this state of profound emotional dependency. That bond becomes so powerful that it literally starts to override the parts of the brain that handle rational thought. The fantasy relationship begins to feel more real and more rewarding than any actual real-life relationship they have.
And that bonding leads directly into the next trap, cognitive dissonance. This is that uncomfortable mental stress we feel when we're trying to hold two conflicting beliefs at the same time. So for the victim, it's, I am in love with this perfect person and my family is telling me this person might be fake. To get rid of that stress, the mind will almost always choose the more emotionally comforting belief. They start actively rejecting evidence of the scam, ignoring red flags, making excuses for the scammer because admitting the truth would mean accepting a totally devastating emotional loss. They literally become the scammer's primary defender. And finally, there's the sunk cost fallacy. And this is what keeps the victim trapped. After you've invested months of your time, huge amounts of emotional energy, and now your money, it becomes psychologically unbearable to just walk away. Each payment isn't just a loss. It becomes a justification for the last one. The thinking is, well, I've already sent them $5,000, I can't stop now, or all of that will have been for nothing. And that creates this devastating cycle of escalating loss, as each new payment is made just to protect the investment you've already made.
All right, Section 4, your defensive protocol. We've deconstructed the system, the playbook, the psychology. Now, let's get to the most important part of this whole thing, how you build an effective defense. This isn't about being cynical or closing yourself off from finding a real connection online. Not at all. It's about being smart. It's about implementing a clear, non-negotiable security protocol for your digital life, just like you'd have a firewall for your computer.
And because the attack is a system, the warning signs are totally predictable. This is the pattern. First, rapid, intense intimacy. People call it love bombing. It feels amazing, but it's happening way too fast. Second, there's always a compelling reason for distance, some reason why meeting is impossible. Third, and this is the most critical one, an inability or flat-out refusal to verify their identity, specifically with a live video call. And fourth, after all that groundwork is laid, boom, a sudden financial crisis appears out of nowhere. If you see these flags showing up in this exact sequence, you are not in a whirlwind romance, you are in the scammer's playbook.
This right here, this is your firewall. Scammers have an endless list of excuses for why they can't get on a live video call. Your response has to be singular and absolute. A live, interactive video call is non-negotiable. There is no valid reason in today's world for someone who is supposedly building a deep relationship with you to refuse this simple step. Any excuse, I don't care how plausible it sounds, must be treated as a definitive confirmation of fraud. End of story.
So, your defensive protocol is simple and it's incredibly effective. It's just 2 mandatory steps. First, the moment you connect with someone new, you take their profile pictures and you run them through a reverse image search. A tool like Google Images will instantly tell you if those photos have appeared somewhere else online, often revealing the real person whose pictures were stolen. Second, before you let yourself get emotionally invested, you must have a live, non-scripted video call. These 2 steps stop the system dead in its tracks before it can ever build the emotional dependency it needs to work. Okay, Section 5, the core principle. If we wrap this all up, it really comes down to one core idea that you have to internalize. The digital world is amazing,
but it requires a new default setting for how we build trust. The old rules don't always apply, and we need a new mindset to navigate it safely. And that mindset is simple. Verify everything.
And this is the single most important takeaway. The very thing that feels so wonderful, so compelling. That flawless partner, that perfect connection, the total absence of any conflict, that is the single biggest warning sign. Real relationships are messy. They're imperfect. The promise of a perfect fantasy isn't a sign that you're lucky. It is the ultimate tool of emotional theft.
So I want to leave you with this final thought, a simple protective mantra to carry with you. Before you give away your heart, before you give away your trust, and certainly before you ever give away your money, you have to verify. Verify the face with a reverse image search and a live video call. Verify the voice on that call. And by doing those two things, you verify the reality of the person you're talking to. That simple act of verification, it isn't cynical, it's smart, it's safe, and it's the firewall that protects you from this entire predatory system.